So how do I get my students to care about the world? So how do I get my students to care about the world? By talking about it and really allowing them to talk about it more and more. My name is Dr. Jeff, teacher, instructional coach, civic lead, and teacher educator. And I have another video where students create soapbox speeches on a topic that they care about, as well as another video on putting together a soapbox competition at your site. But today's activity is even so much more easier to implement. It's pretty much just watching a current event video for 10 minutes and then talking about it. So it's as simple as that. And this current event video has already been curated, and there's a different one each day. Many of you are probably familiar with it. It's CNN Student News. You could Google CNN Student News or CNN 10, and there's a 10-minute newsreel that has a variety of different topics that are student-friendly. Of course, you want to preview it, make sure that it works right for your group, your population, your age, and all. But in general, it's very viewable to most groups. 10 minutes long, excellent coverage within 10 minutes. Lots of different kinds of topics. So what do I do with my students after watching the video? Well, there could be a variety of different things. So I'll share a variety of different things and then also a little bit of what I do. Now, it could be a quick write where they're just writing down what they think. It could be, after watching the video, kind of a pair share with one another. It could be a combination, right? Quick write, then pair share. It could also be a group share. So in my classroom, we had 9 collaborative groups, 4 students at each station, and they could share with one another. And then also a circle share, which I think is really a very cool strategy. So if I had those 9 tables, once again, in my class, each of the chairs was a different color. It was orange, red, blue, or green. But before I had these special colored chairs, I could just put a little sticker on their desk, right? And they would know what they were, A, B, C, or D, or the colors like we mentioned. And then I could say all right, if you're orange, go ahead and stand. And then they could share out their thoughts like that. Or I can have them then move into the inner circle of the classroom, which technically is called the fishbowl strategy, but then it kind of has that you're looking at me kind of feeling, and I know a lot of students don't like that. So I started calling it the cafe circle, where I just wanted you to imagine that you had just watched this news clip and then you're at Starbucks and you're talking with your friends and just talking about it. So what might they be talking about? Well, I gave them questions to kind of discuss, what one news segment stood out to you? Why? What did this video make you think or wonder about? How is what you saw affecting our country and the world around us? How might what you saw affect you or your family? So we're kind of beginning big and then moving in, right? Can you think of something positive you could take away from the news today? I think so oftentimes people are looking at the news and there's so many things to see what's wrong in the world, but with the framework and lens that there's something positive or something positive that they can do in response to something that's difficult. And then lastly, what is your takeaway? And of course, while they're doing this, they're not just learning about news, right? They're growing in the 5 C's, which include communication, collaboration, creativity, critical thinking, and I hope compassion, as we add this lens of what's positive and what's something that they think they might be able to do in response, at least at the family level, right? And of course, this is elevating what I think is very important, student talk. And in my class, I'd like to have at least 30% of my entire class to be student talk time, where it's the students that are talking. Oftentimes it's the teacher that's talking the entire period or a majority of the period. And if you were to record yourself and just see how much talking we do as teachers, man, we just talk so much in class. But really trying to elevate that student talk. And maybe I could do another video on student talk, and also this next strategy called volleyball conversations. So for those of you who are familiar with the sport of all of you are familiar with the sport. When the ball comes over, a person bumps it, that's one touch. Then they set it, right? That's the second touch, and then the next person spikes it. So oftentimes in class, what's happening are like teacher-student conversations. Teacher says something, student says something. Teacher says something, student says something. That's more of a what you might call a ping pong conversation, right? But how do we foster that volleyball conversation where it's like students are talking to one another and giving ideas off one another before it goes back to the teacher? That might be another video, ping pong talk versus volleyball conversations. We might have another topic on that later. And then as you're having this talk, once again, as I talked about from the very beginning, when you're encouraging the space to talk, they're growing. The more talk that's happening, the more they're also thinking about their community and the world around them, which grows their civic engagement and learning as well. If this video was helpful in growing your civic engagement and learning, or ideas to implement civic engagement learning strategies, or you thought this strategy was helpful, the CNN activity, go ahead and make sure you give it a like. And if you're interested in learning more about other civic and engagement practices or equity for grading, PBLs, classroom management, make sure you subscribe. I have a video coming out about every week. This is Dr. Jeff from EdFamily signing out.